First off, I'm sorry that it's going out so late. It's just this weird schedule lately. This is actually the second day of 3 9-to-5s. As a matter of fact, I actually have to go to work at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, which in all essence is in about 10 hours. Needless to say, I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. Now, first off, I'm going to do a little apologizing. I want to say that I'm sorry that I did not get Impact, NXT, or SmackDown recapped this past weekend. Really hectic. A lot of AJ's movie reviews, versus, and the Academy Awards prediction video. All those had to get filmed, so the wrestling kind of suffered. I'm sorry about that. But don't worry, I'm going to make it up to you guys. And for more awards content, obviously, we are in the beginning of award season. So we are a couple weeks away from our first ceremony. So that means we're going to be doing prediction videos of the Critics' Choice Awards, the Golden Globes, and the SAGs. So those will be taken care of. Actually, I'm filming those tomorrow. So AJ and I are going to be spending New Year's Eve shooting video for this channel. So that's how it's going to work. Now, I will try to get everything out to you guys quick as I can. I will hope to get NXT and SmackDown because I really want to call the Antonio Cesaro-William Regal match. And the SmackDown show with John Cena and Seth Rollins, I want to call that match as well. So, needless to say, I will try to get those out as soon as I can. But I do have a Raw recap for you guys right now after I get done with a little housekeeping. First off, I should show you real quick. Actually, I'll show you later because I don't really have a way to go get the other one. I now have the Jack the Clown Uni Mini, and which of course is Universal's version of Vinylmation, and the Jack the Clown Uni Mini pin, both of which sold out in record time at Halloween Horror Nights 23 this past year. So, needless to say, which I guess this is going to be my new go-to word when I'm trying to do a segue into something, I have both of those items now. It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens with next year's product. Are we a couple years away from getting Bill and Ted Uni Minis? Possibly. Are we getting the Caretaker, Bloody Mary, and the Usher? I mean, the Director. It's possible we get any of these. I think it's a good possibility. I think with the fact that Jack and the Caretaker were both in Cabin in the Woods this year, I think that there's a really good chance that the Caretaker will be the next Uni Mini pin and Uni Mini itself that come out for Halloween Horror Nights 24 next year, which I am now really excited for. And given the fact of my friend Joe, maybe, just maybe, 2014 may end up being the year that Suro and Disney goes to Hallow Scream, which means I will finally go to Busch Gardens in Tampa, which, fingers crossed on that. It's not a guarantee, but it's something that's down the pipeline very well could happen. And I will most likely be going to Legoland in December, so I'm going to hit some new parks, hit some more footage and more pictures for this channel. Really pictures of the channel, picture for myself and to post places, but video for this channel of Legoland and Busch Gardens hopefully coming up in 2014. Given the fact that it is New Year's Eve, which makes no sense, I understand. It's Monday night, so we're going to talk a little Raw, and I'll say right now, this is a really interesting Raw. Now, there's a couple things I would have cut out, but for the most part, there's a lot of questions to be answered after this edition of Raw. Of course, last week was the Christmas edition, this week is the New Year's edition, and next week is one of my personal favorite gimmicks on Raw. That's Old School Raw, and Old School Raw is going to have the first, far to my knowledge, the first ever singles encounter between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Of course, that's mentioned later on in this show, but I want to bring it up right off the top. We're supposed to get appearances from, the video shows us Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty, and it also shows us the New Age Outlaws, and the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and Bob Backlund. I don't know where anybody's seeing Dusty Rhodes. I didn't see it there, but he's supposed to be there. Diamond Dallas Page. So many names. Money Incorporated together. Roddy Piper. and so many superstars from the past of WWE, back when it was obviously the WWF, which means we're going to bring back the old school, old-timey red, white, and blue ring ropes and the old-timey logos, at least the versions they can put up, and it's going to look awesome, and it's going to be very enjoyable. Of course, you're going to have Mean Gene Okerlund, I would say Howard Finkel will probably make an appearance as well. So it's going to be a really good show, and it's one of the only gimmicks on Raw that I actually enjoy. And usually a gimmick event edition of Raw isn't always the greatest, but sometimes there's some gems that come out of it. This is an interesting show that we're talking about tonight. Raw was in Richmond, Virginia, which is kind of funny because my mother will be in said Richmond, Virginia tomorrow. So that's kind of interesting. And let's kick it off with CM Punk. Punk starts off Raw. Daniel Bryan ends Raw. But I'll talk about that as we progress in this video. So Punk comes out and he basically says that 2013, sure, Punk had a great year. He got to beat Paul Heyman to an oblivion with a Singapore cane, and he had to go toe-to-toe with The Undertaker and almost win, and he got to go one-on-one with the Great One, obviously. But when the dust settles, there's only one, or should I say faction, not person, that would stake claim to 2013 being their year, and that, of course, being The Shield. So, Punk basically says, we're going to meet somewhere down the line tonight, and when we do, I got a proposition for you. Doesn't take very long to the very familiar Sierra Hotel starts, and what happens? Here comes The Shield. So, Dean Ambrose, of course, says, just give us a reason not to end you right now. Punk goes, cool it down. We've established that the three of you as a unit can beat anybody. This has been proven time and time again. But CM Punk wants the best of The Shield. Ambrose pipes up, and of course he says, let's do it. Let's do it right now. And Punk's like, no, I'm not talking to you. I beat you already numerous times. I'm talking to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Who's better between the two of you? Punk calls Dean Ambrose the weak link of The Shield. Yeah, that's not true. So Punk calls out Roman Reigns specifically. Rollins jumps up in his face and basically says, I challenge you tonight. And basically Punk just puts him down immediately and says, you know, you're more of an afterthought. The name that everyone keeps bringing up is Roman Reigns. Roman stops Rollins, and Rollins says, I want to prove myself. So before anything else can go any further, Brad Maddox comes out, since he's still the general manager, and he wishes everyone a Happy New Year, and he says, we've got our match for tonight, CM Punk against Seth Rollins. That's why it makes sense that it's going to be Roman Reigns and Punk on Raw next Monday night. Makes sense, right? And it's right now, and this was our opening contest. Before I get started with the commentary on this match, and I love calling matches like this, the reason I enjoy being a commentator, here's the issue. Brian Logan on Facebook actually said it best. Slow down. Seriously. Like, I understand the fast-paced, high-energy, that's the word I'm looking for, fast-paced, high-energy matches that get the crowd on their feet. I get that. Pop the crowd with a hot opener on the show. I get that. But slow down a bit. Then you don't make as many unneeded mistakes. Like, there was a really horrible botch on roll-up in this match. Punk tried to cover it up with an inside cradle, but it still looked terrible. But let's talk about the match, shall we? So Rollins with a whip in, Punk reverses and catches him with a sidekick, like a standing sidekick to the ribs, and hits something we haven't seen in a long time, which is Welcome to Chicago, mother effer, and it is, of course, the butterfly backbreaker. Seth gets up and he goes for a whip in on Punk, and Punk with a tip up into a modified Anaconda device tied up in the ropes. And once Rollins gets back the upper hand, he locks on a modified camel clutch. So Punk gets forearmed into kidneys twice. Basically, it pushes him into the ropes and kidney forearms him twice. Punk counters with forearms of his own and whip in reverse and the botched roll-up I talked about. Punk counters into an inside cradle 1-2, but the damage was already done. Covers Punk after a back elbow 1-2 and a kick out. So Rollins with a chin lock and a backdrop suplex creates separation from CM Punk. So it charges in, big boot up, and he springs to the top, does Punk, and he gets knocked hard all the way off the top rope into the barricade on the floor. We come back to live action off commercial break, and Punk with 12 successive headbutts. Whip in, misses the charge, goes shoulder first into the ring post. Rollins makes the cover 1-2 and a kick out. He goes up to the second turnbuckle and he leaps off for the senton backsplash. Punk out of the way. Whip in, high leg lariat and a clothesline. Runs him over with the double axe handle. Spinning neck breaker, countered into a backslide, countered into a sunset flip, countered into a drop down by Punk. Hooks both legs 1-2 and again Rollins kicks out. So a whip in and the running knee against the ropes. So he charges in and gets caught with the turnbuckle powerbomb by Rollins. 1-2, Punk kicks out. So he comes off the ropes, goes for blackout. Punk ducks out of the way and gets stunned with a leaping enziguri kick from Seth Rollins. 1-2, CM Punk kicks out. Punk, of course, threw his high kick and Rollins ducked it out of the way, which led to the leaping enziguri kick. So he mocks Punk, basically saying he's going to put him to sleep himself. He goes up for the fireman's carry on Punk. Punk slides down the back, and he shoves him off to the ropes, and then the running knee, and then a short arm clothesline, spun him like a top, goes up top with a savage elbow, but Rollins has seen this match before, obviously, just like I have, and he rolls to the opposite side of the ring, breaking any momentum Punk has. Smart move right there. So, Rollins goes up top, and Punk kicks the top turnbuckle, ineffectively crotching Rollins on the top rope. So Punk climbs up, going for a superplex. It gets blocked. Rollins hooks up one of his own and front superplex off the top rope by Seth Rollins. So Rollins leaps up for the flying body press. Punk rolls through into the Anaconda Vice. So basically, Ambrose hits the ring. No disqualification, mind you. And that just allows a distraction. This allows an inverted suplex, gets countered, go to sleep, countered into a standing slice bread number 2, or a Shirin Nui, depending on who's calling your match, or a Misty Flip, depending on who's calling your match. 1-2, and Punk again kicks out. Now, the reason he didn't get the pinfall, in essence, was the fact that Ambrose and Reigns had the referee's attention, so that distraction allowed for Punk to kick out before the 3 count could be administered. That's how it works. So whip in, and Punk ends up backdropping Rollins onto Reigns and Ambrose on the floor. Punk with a tope, and he gets caught with a forearm. Rollins tries to finish him off with a slingshot, and he gets slingshot, lands up into the fireman's carry, tosses him off, go to sleep, 1-2-3. Great opening matchup. Actually, great second half of the opening matchup between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. These two actually can go really well together, have great chemistry, but the opening of this match just kind of disjointed, to be honest. That botched roll-up looked terrible. But to credit to CM Punk, he did cover it up really well with the inside cradle, and it was still there, but it was played off pretty well, so I don't have a problem with that. Daniel Bryan shows up and pretty much says he wants Bray Wyatt tonight, and Brad Maddox, of course, trying to impress Triple H and Stephanie, says, you know what? You can have Bray Wyatt tonight, but you have to earn it. And by earning it, you have to go through Luke Harper. And if you get past Luke Harper, you have to go through Eric Rowan. And then and only then will I let you face Bray Wyatt. You pretty much have to run the Wyatt family gauntlet. So they commend Brad on his choice. And Stephanie basically says, just wait to see what I have to say. Stephanie comes out and does a really awesome video package. Unfortunately, it's about Randy Orton. And since Orton, of course, is in Toronto at the house show, which is where most of the half of the roster is tonight. So this is a very limited roster they worked with. And you know, the show worked really well, to be totally honest. It was really nice not seeing Cena and Big Show and Orton. And it was really nice not seeing them for a change. It actually made it feel a lot more fresh than normal. So unlike most people on the internet, I don't have a problem with Cena. I mean, it's nice to have a break every once in a while, to be totally honest, even if it's only a week. So, Stephanie, of course, after this grandstanding of Randy Orton, basically makes the announcement that not only is Randy Orton a deserving champion, he is, by all means, a fighting champion. And he will be defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, God, that's a mouthful, against John Cena at the Royal Rumble. In a match where there is no stipulation, it is pinfall or submission. There must be a winner. Didn't say anything about count out or DQ, so I'm going to guess that it could go either way. Here's the thing. Number one, I knew it was going to come back to haunt me that I missed TLC. And I was like, oh, and you missed Orton and Cena. It was so okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really much interested in this match at all, obviously, because I don't like Randy Orton, and I've seen enough. I like John Cena, but God, get him out of the world title picture for quite a while, please. I will say right now that it's the right thing to do, to be totally honest, if they really want to go that direction. See, like I said, you have Orton and Cena go at it, and then you allow someone else to run the Royal Rumble. So, and obviously we'll talk about that as we progress in the videos of January. So we get another match, this time being Curtis Axel against Dolph Ziggler, two people that have fallen so far from grace, it's not even funny. Okay, let's talk about Curtis Axel. Number one, he comes in as Michael McGillicuddy. He worked with the new Nexus, and like I said, the Nexus relocation program with Ryback, who also was a member of the Nexus, hence why he's a member of the Nexus relocation program. So, basically what you have here is you have Curtis Axel. He comes in, they turn him into Curtis Axel. They go from Michael McGillicuddy to Curtis Axel, and he's now playing up the names of Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig and Larry the Axe Hennig, and they're combining it into one name. And he's got Paul Heyman as his mouthpiece. It can't lose, right? Well, it did. It failed. They had him beat Cena, and they had to beat Triple H. Granted, they were by countout, but still, he had victories. It's kind of like when the genius Lanny Poffo beat Hulk Hogan via countout. It happened, folks, regardless if you want to admit it or not. But Axel floundered and floundered and floundered, and eventually he ended up leaving the employ of Paul Heyman, and now he is pretty much on his own. Even, he's not with Ryback, because Ryback, of course, also worked the Toronto House Show. So, because most of the roster was in the T-Dot, Axel had to go one-on-one against Dolph Ziggler, who's the biggest fall in 2013 has to go to Dolph Ziggler. I mean, my God, I mean, he is World Heavyweight Champion, he gets a concussion in a match against Alberto Del Rio, and what happens? Bam. He just falls so far that he never recovers. So, yeah, it sucks. The stuff with Swagger and Del Rio, enjoyable matches, but it costs pretty much Dolph his entire push. And then, of course, he goes on the internet and everything, and he's very vocal, and I can understand that, being vocal and being frustrated with the way you're dealing with things. But then again, the wrong people hear that, you get jobbed, and then... And everyone's saying, it's like, Dolph Ziggler's getting jobbed out. It's like, well, kind of, but obviously he's still on television, so he's not officially being jobbed out. He's just losing on TV. A little bit of time on television, even if you're losing, is better than being completely ignored. I would if I was on WWE programming right now as an active wrestler, I would rather be on the show losing in squash matches than completely ignored and not even being booked on the show. TV time is still TV time, regardless how you look at it. And win or lose, it still keeps you on people's minds. And when you're off people's minds and when you're off television, that's when you're a little bit more in the doghouse. Jobbing out on television is not a big deal. Still look good. Still works out. You're still on television, still making money. Now, if you are not on the shows, you're not even on the house cards, and maybe even doing dark matches with the developmental talent, then maybe you have a chance to say that he's being completely, like, screwed right now. But obviously if he were, he would either be A, fired, or B, off television. And he's not fired, and he's not off television. So, yeah, I think Dolph would rather be on television losing than not be on TV at all. Out of sight, out of mind. Especially how fickle some wrestling fans are. So, we get midway through the match, and standing dropkick by Curtis Axel. Oh, by the way, this is the battle of the standing dropkicks, and they both get utilized in this match. 1-2, Dolph kicks out. Grounded chin lock from Axel. Dolph elbows his way out. Boot in the midsection. He shoves him face first in the middle turnbuckle. This is really awesome. They pretty much go with an Irish whip, and they end up sending Axel face first, like forehead first in the middle turnbuckle, and he just drops. He just drops back, straight back bump. Looked kind of cool, actually. Just crumbled him. He went for a 10 punch. Of course, he only got 8 off on it. And the reverse neck breaker, whip in, reverse, ducks the clothesline, and the crossbody, and pounds away to the top of the head. He goes for the zigzag. He gets swatted off by Axel. Roll up, counter, 1-2, and a kick out. He goes for the exclamation point DDT. Gets thrown off by Axel. Counter into the swinging neck breaker. 1-2. Dolph Ziggler kicks out. And basically, Axel just starts toying with him. And he starts browbeating him. And he picks him up, and that's all she wrote. Dolph pulls the zigzag out of nowhere and wins the match. So it was okay for what it was, I guess. Dolph got a win. That's something that doesn't happen very often. So I want to talk about this next match. I said early on in this year that 2013 was going to be the year that Fandango became a singles champion. And this was his last opportunity, given the fact that it's December 30th. So, ergo, that means there's one more chance to walk out as champion. Of course, he has to get past the Intercontinental Champion, currently held Big E Langston. So, Big E's the champion, and they're pushing him, obviously. So, we get this match. Of course, Fandango won the match, a Christmas present on a pole match last week on Raw Christmas, and that's why he's getting this title opportunity. I'm happy with this because obviously it's two things. Number one, I get Summer Rae on my television, which always makes Owen a happy guy. And two, I get to see Fandango get pushed. And I'm pretty sure 2014, mark my words, is the year Fandango wins a singles championship. Johnny Curtis is too good to not have a championship. He's got a gimmick that's over. He's got a valet that's gorgeous. He's got a moveset that works. He's decent on the mic. He's got a gimmick that works. I mean, he's got everything he needs to have, and he will be a champion within the year. Mark my words. This time, I'm pretty sure I'm correct. So, heck, I'd give him Money in the Bank at this point, to be totally honest, if they really want to go that direction. Why not? There's other people you could give it to, but, I mean, come on, give Fandango Money in the Bank. He almost got it at Mania this year, so who knows? Or, sorry, Money in the Bank, pay-per-view. Sometimes I forget things. So we get Fandango against Big E Langston. First off, number one, I'll talk as a red-blooded American male right now, that, oh my god, Summer Rae had this really awesome dress. I mean, cleavage everywhere. It's like Jennifer Lawrence in American Hustle. It's just, you know, got nothing on Summer Rae in this piece of cloth that was just barely there. And, like Summer Rae, as everyone knows, so it worked fine for me. And she was a good distraction, but she was not utilized fully. Here's the problem I have with Summer Rae as a valet. She does not interfere nearly enough. Now, there's an issue of somebody who remains to be... Well, let's just say that there are people that have valet before and they don't get involved nearly enough. They just yell and they look pretty and they don't really do much. They don't scratch eyes, they don't rake backs, they don't like squirt perfume in people's faces. They don't really do anything except for be eye candy. Now, Summer Rae is awesome eye candy, but the problem is Summer Rae can actually wrestle. If you've seen her on NXT, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the thing about that is you really could utilize that to the fullest of its capabilities. You're having her in these horrid Divas tag team matches now, so you might as well let fans be clued in on the fact that Summer Rae actually can wrestle. And with that, you should have her get more physically involved in the matches. She should have got more physically involved with Big E Langston. As a matter of fact, if I would have been booking the match as a road agent, I would have said that you should have had Big E pick up Fandango for the big ending, and that would have been the cue for Summer Rae to jump up on the ring apron and call for the distraction. She's done it before. It could have been allowed for a false finish, or it could have allowed for a near fall, or it could have allowed for them to go like they're going to collide. Fandango puts on the brakes and walks into the big ending, 1, 2, 3, and basically create dissension right there. Or you could just have it at the finish. But they didn't go that direction. They went with a lot better matchup, and this match actually was really good. And it was not a short match. It wasn't a squash. It wasn't one-sided. As a matter of fact, Fandango had this match pretty much the whole get-go. The whole thing from the get-go. That's the word I'm looking for. I just got to remember things. That's what happens when you know how to edit, folks. So, let's talk about it, shall we? First off, it had a big match feel. It had boxing-style ring introductions. Plus, strangely enough, Fandango was announced second, and Biggie Langston came out first, which means it was very strange because usually the champion comes out last. Well, Fandango's entrance should normally get a big pop, even though he's a heel, even though Vince says there's no faces and heels anymore, pal. But I don't buy that for a second. So, the thing about that is, yeah, you're trying to justify the fact that John Cena gets booed all the time because they're saying if there are no faces and heels, there's all just shades of gray. So, whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this match, shall we? Had a big match feel to it. Champion came out first. Made no sense, really. Crowd in Richmond pretty much all night was dead. There was a couple spots that got hot for Daniel Bryan, obviously, like they normally do, but still not as loud as some crowd would have got. I think Baltimore next week for Old School Raw actually might have a lot better crowd because they're a lot more history with professional wrestling than Richmond, Virginia does. I think there's probably been some Raws in the case where there may have been title changes in the past, but really nothing of worth. So we go midway through the match, and a whip in and charges in, gets the boot up, and Fandango with the spinning heel kick out of the corner. Yeah, you know, the beauty shot from Tyler Breeze. One count only, Big E just presses him off like he's a small child. Comes off the ropes, and then the drop down. He comes off the ropes, a big leapfrog by Big E Langston, and runs into the shoulder, does Fandango. Charges in with the shoulder in the corner. Whip in, charges in the shoulder in the opposite corner, and he goes for the big ending. Fandango counters and smartly goes to the floor to break the momentum. That's how it works. Fandango walks around and tries to shake everything off. He runs into the big clothesline from Big E Langston. So he rams him back first into the barricade, tosses him back in, and Fandango does something really awesome that came out. It could have been a botch potentially, and it might have been, and I'm guessing it probably was, but it was covered up flawlessly. What happened is Fandango drop kicks the knee, and when Big E takes the bump on it, he doesn't go backwards, he goes forwards, and he lands basically like right here, like right above the bridge of his nose, against the kneecap of Fandango. And after this spot, it was all Fandango all day long until the finish. So he locks in a figure four by pressing his boot into the kneecap, like elevated. Triple H used to do this back in the day too, and it's kind of like it's like an inverted version of Jamie Noble's trailer hitch. So, or James Gibson, depending on if you're a Ring of Honor fan. So, Big E punches his way out because he's a monster, and the hits goes to the charging shoulder, and Big E ends up going to the floor. We come back to live action, and Fandango is back on top, and he drops his knee on the knee, and a big shoulder, stiff European uppercut, and a short arm clothesline. He starts working on the leg yet again. Big E again punches his way out of the inverted figure four, and the chin lock is applied, basically just riding him. I don't even go there. So Big E Langston gets up, Fandango on his back, he backs him hard into the buckles. So he hits the charging clothesline on two separate occasions, ducks the clothesline, and he goes for a belly-to-belly suplex. Fandango breaks it with a headbutt, and he gets put on the ring apron, and he gets belly-to-bellied from the ring apron into the ring, goes for the big splash. Fandango drop kicks the knees and nails a nice swinging DDT, 1-2, and Big E Langston kicks out. He goes up top, going for the perfect 10, and he connects. And Big E Langston's momentum carries him to the floor. So Fandango gets on the ring apron, drop kicks Big E Langston in the back of the head, and tosses him back in. Big E tries to climb through the ropes. Fandango with a boot, and he gets caught with an overhead release belly-to-belly suplex. He goes for the big splash. He nails it this time, drops the straps, big ending, 1, 2, 3, and an excellent match between these two. Biggie Langston will move on to his next challenger, Fandango. He's not going anywhere, folks. I'd like to see this be a feud, to be totally honest. I don't want to see this move on. I want to see Fandango and Biggie Langston feud over the Intercontinental Championship. As a matter of fact, I think this match should be at the Royal Rumble. I think Biggie Langston and Fandango needs to be a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship at the Royal Rumble. But the only way that's going to happen, Fandango has to beat Biggie Langston in a non-title matchup somewhere between now and the Royal Rumble in order to build up momentum. Because obviously, if you don't build up momentum for the challenger, it's not going to be believable that he's even challenging for the Intercontinental Championship, especially when Biggie won clean in the center of the ring. But I think it'll be fine. So Booker T comes out to give a spin-a-rooney. He gets interrupted by Wade Barrett, of course. He comes out in a podium towering above everyone. And in true Ali Dawson style, he loves his gaveling. And he basically just puts everyone down and pretty much says that just a bunch of just random things, to be totally honest. So, yeah, that was the end of that. I like Wade Barrett a lot, but I want to see him pushed as a wrestler and not a mouthpiece. I like this gimmick, but I want to see where it goes. If it doesn't go anywhere and it ends up with another repackaging of Wade Barrett, I don't know. I hope they do something with Barrett soon. So the WWE app gets to choose Damien Sandow's fate. Oh, goody gumdrops. So they're given 3 choices. Kofi Kingston, The Miz, or the scourge of my existence, the Great Khali. Because the WWE Universe are either dumb or they want to troll the internet, they vote Great Khali as the winner. So Khali gets to face Sandow, and Sandow makes a comment that if he can't win this match, he's going to quit. So basically, if he can't beat the Great Khali, he's going to quit WWE. Yeah. Thank God this match didn't go very long. I'm not even going to talk about it. Basically, it got to the point where there's an overhand chop, you know, the normal match, and 2 of them. A headbutt, he goes for the powerbomb, you know, the one that allegedly made someone done their party permanently. In layman's terms, that means he killed someone with a powerbomb. But that's allegedly. We don't know. I don't know this to be completely true. It's just hearsay. So hearsay. There I go. I covered up my covered myself there. I don't know if he did. I wasn't there. I just know that that's what I've heard. So there you go. I've heard that something happened with a botched powerbomb in Japan, but we don't want to talk about that. Anyway. Sandow goes to the ring apron, and neck snap, rolls back in, charges in, catches the back elbow from Khali. Smartly, Sandow drop kicks the knee, goes to work on it, dive bombs the knee, and 1-2, Khali kicks out. A boot on Khali, 2 knee drops, one with the knee pad drop down, obviously, like a bear knee drop. Excuse me, drops the elbow, 1-2, and a kick out. Drops the elbow to the knee numerous times. DDTs the knee. Kobito Akiet, 1-2, and a kick out. And Sandow gets stopped with a huge palm chop. So he charges in, gets the boot up, 2 big clotheslines, and Sandow goes to the corner, and this allows Khali to go face first to the top turnbuckle. He gets rolled up. 1, 2, Khali's shoulders aren't even down, and 3. Thank God they called for the end of the match. This match sucked. I would have completely eliminated this match and we just had a good match between Sandow and Kofi Kingston, or Sandow and The Miz. So, yeah, that was a bad idea. So, that's what happens when you give the WWE Universe what they want. So, we get another match. Brodus Clay, who apparently has a brand new entrance, brand new ring introduction, completely not shown on television, taking on R-Truth, and of course, Xavier Woods on commentary at ringside. Brodus breaks out the heart punch. Thumbs up, Brodus Clay. Overhand right, stands on the back of Truth. Here's a Sheplex, and he locks him in the Canadian backbreaker, and Truth punches his way out. He gets avalanched in the back, high velocity whip, and he dive bombs the lower back. Clubs him in the back, and the over-the-shoulder backbreaker yet again, and he just releases him. Leaping elbow, 1-2, Truth kicks out. Two charging avalanches. Xavier Woods gets up on the announce table and calls for the Funkadactyls. Cameron and Naomi show up, allow for the distraction. This allows for Truth to get on the middle turnbuckle, fly off with the little Jimmy, catching Brodus Clay, sleeping 1, 2, 3, and Truth wins. Just basically to further the storyline between Brodus Clay and R-Truth. So yeah. Brodus needs somebody in his corner, to be honest, if they're going to do this angle. Because it makes sense for it to be Truth and Xavier Woods. They're fine. Truth and consequences. Makes total sense, right? Brodus needs somebody in his corner. I don't know who that person would be at this point. I guess I'd have to think about it, honestly. So, Triple H comes out, and not to be outdone, his announcement is the return of Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, which, of course, if I didn't know anything about the fact that the SmackDown tapings were last night, I wouldn't have known this. It would have been a much bigger surprise. Heyman not sporting a ponytail this time. I think he cut it off. So it's funny because I wrote on the notes, like, the Pauls shake hands, which is funny. Triple H and Paul Heyman, obviously. The Pauls shake hands. And then Triple H shakes Brock Lesnar's hand, and then Triple H leaves. Heyman covers all bases immediately. Says Brock has no scores to settle. He's not here to do harm to those that have did damage to Paul Heyman in the past. And he says it's not about him, it's about Brock Lesnar. Lesnar is back for one reason and one reason only, and that is to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Not to break the streak. They could have started the build there. Guess not yet. He doesn't care if it's Randy Orton or if it's John Cena or really who it is. No one can stop him. No one can stop him at all. He doesn't have to win the Royal Rumble, which is, he slips on, or stand in line to win the title shot. He says the line starts behind him. He dares anybody to come out and try to do something about it. Should have been an idea that someone comes out, and sure enough, here comes Mark Henry. Mark Henry comes out, Brock Lesnar attacks him before he gets in the ring, and Mark Henry gets the advantage for like a split second, tossing Lesnar over the barricade, and for his troubles, Mark Henry gets speared through the barricade on the opposite side. What Lesnar does next is pick up Mark Henry and F5 him on the floor. That's over 400 pounds. This was a tremendous feat of strength from Brock Lesnar and looked awesome. Brock Lesnar and Mark Henry at the Royal Rumble, I have no problems at all with this. So, number one, Paul Heyman, brilliant as always, comes out, completely covers all bases, says that it's not about what happened to him in the past. So there's not going to be any repercussions for Ryback or Curtis Axel or CM Punk. No, this is all about the now, and the now is Brock winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship again. Again, I have a problem with this. But when Lesnar doesn't win at the Royal Rumble, well, wins at the Royal Rumble, how are you going to get him into contention for The Undertaker? That is my question. That is my question. So, oh my god, Total Divas against the not Total Divas. This being, for some reason, Oksana. For some ungodly reason, they still want to push. Still don't know why. The talentless Alicia Fox, Rosa Mendez, who's just going through the motions. Caitlyn just got thrown in the storyline, and the gorgeous Summer Rae. And the Total Divas in this case would be the Bella Twins, the Funkadactyls, and Eva Marie, who sticks out like a sore thumb. Not just her awesome red hair. And Summer Rae and Rosa Mendez are both wearing red and having blonde hair, so of course the WWE broadcasting team, sometimes get them confused. I.e. Michael Cole during the last time they had a 10-man or 10-woman Divas match. Caitlyn with a drop kick on Eva and whip in, side backbreaker, 1-2 and a kick out, whip in and a kick to the chest, and a big time slap. Tag in, and Cameron gets slapped, roll up, 1 count only. Whip in, tag to Alicia Fox. The sisters do battle, and satellite head scissors takeover. 2 forearms, whip in, tip up, lands on her feet, tagging to Summer Rae. She comes in with a foot choke, tagging to Rosa Mendez. That was Summer Rae's contribution to the match, a foot choke in the corner. I don't get the booking sometimes. So Rosa stomps away, tagging to Oksana, pulls her out of the corner, 1-2 and a kick out. She locks on a modified Kata Hajime, and a punch out, and 3 big stomps, kick to the ribs, 1-2 and a kick out. Kata Hajime yet again, punch out one more time. Jawbreaker by Cameron. She has way too much action in this match, way too much action. Gets cut off, kick off, tagging to Nikki Bella. Clothesline off the ropes, drop kick, charging clothesline, and goes for the Argentinian backbreaker. and everybody hits the ring, and of course this allows for Oksana to charge in, gets caught with a back elbow, goes to the middle rope, she gets pulled off the rope, she gets pulled off of the middle rope, lands chest first on the middle rope, or in this case the top rope, and gets stunned with the elbow to the back of the neck, drive down with a DDT Bulldog style variant, and that's the pin. For some reason they want to push Oksana, still don't understand why. Less said about this the better. So, our main event is Daniel Bryan running the Wyatt family gauntlet. My God, this is completely disjointed. I would have done this Eric Rowan first, then Luke Harper, but they did Daniel Bryan and Luke Harper, which of course was going to be the solid match of all of them. Harper with a chin lock, and Bryan elbows his way out, whip in, backflip, lands on his feet, comes off the ropes, ducks the clothesline, and the hooking clothesline, and then he charges in, does Luke Harper. Bryan low bridges him, sending him over the top rope to the floor. This allows for Bryan to nail the tope, which basically just stuns Harper, doesn't send him down. And then he nails the tope yet again, sending him back into the barricade and dropping him. He does the stiff kicks to the outside, tosses Harper back in, goes up top, missile drop kick from Bryan. Then he goes to the stiff kicks, goes for the buzzsaw, and if the right one doesn't get you, Major Payne style will tell you the left one will. So that buzzsaw kick does connect, and he gets caught with that boot, and he puts him on the top turnbuckle, goes up for the top rope, Hurricane Rana. He gets caught by Harper, sit out powerbomb off the top rope, 1-2, Bryan kicks out. So Bryan gets nailed with a forearm, double chop from Harper, choke thrust, and Bryan gets stunned with a half Nelson suplex or a Tiger suplex 85, 1-2, Bryan kicks out. So Harper goes to take advantage. Bryan goes for the yes lock, has it on momentarily, but it gets broken, and a big boot sends Bryan down to the canvas. European uppercut, and Harper's in full advantage. Goes for the German. Bryan lands on his feet. Fire-breathing knee out of the corner. 1, 2, 3. So the first part of the gauntlet is complete. And what does this do? It goes directly into Eric Rowan, who attacks right before the bell. And when the bell sounds, he tosses him to the floor, and he whips him into the ring steps, and he picks him up in a body slam position, and he launches him over the announce table into the barricade. We come back to live action from a commercial break, and he's got his fists, right here, and he is, grinding away, and of course he gets turned to the neck vice, of course, the neck twist he likes to use all the time. Bryan punches his way out, vicious headbutts, comes off the ropes, gets caught, lifted up in the air, elevator down, 1, 2, and Eric Rowan only gets the 2 count. So he lays Bryan on the top rope, and he starts chopping away, and he climbs up the top, and he fall-away slam on Daniel Bryan. And again, Rowan gets distracted, allowing for an inside cradle, 1, 2, 3. So Rowan jumps before Bray Wyatt can get in the ring, and Luke Harper stops him and basically just uses force to get him out of the ring. So we're getting our match, Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt, to be your main event for the final Raw of 2013. So basically, Bray goes for the charging avalanche, and he stops, inches away from Bryan's face. Turns his back to Bryan, Raven style, and Harper and Rowan attack before Bray can do anything. Of course, we're going to throw this out. So Bryan gets tossed all the way to the floor. They whip him into the barricade over and over again, and they toss him back into the ring. So Harper whips Rowan into the avalanche, pulled back into the discus lariat on Bryan. They pick him up, double choke slam, and Bray Wyatt says, "This is where our story ends. I have no mercy left to give. Open your eyes and look at your dismay. This is the end." Bryan's completely out of breath. He's done at this point. He says, "You're right." So Bray Wyatt's like, "Bryan asked for mercy," and he says, "You're right. You were always right." Not for mercy, for the mic. I'm reading the wrong thing. So Bryan asked for the mic, and Bray gives Bryan the mic. He says, "You're right. You were always right. No matter how many matches I won, no matter how many people cheered me, how loud the crowds got for me, no matter how many arenas chanted yes, you were always right. The machine would never let me win. I'm yours. Let me join the family." So Bray extends his hand. Bryan's crawling up to his feet. And right before Bryan is up to his feet, Bray grabs him, kiss of death. Sister Abigail leaves him laying. He says, "This is forever. It's going to change everything." And what do? They pick up Bryan. They carry him to the back. Bryan is left to walk out on his own. He looks at the WWE Universe. They're chanting no. He looks at Bray, who is basically telling him to follow. And he gets like he's getting ready to attack. And the fans are really getting into it. It's the first time the Richmond crowd's actually into this match, into anything on the show. And what happens? Bryan stops, looks at the ground, turns around, follows the buzzards, and that's how we end the final Raw of 2013 with a question mark wondering if Daniel Bryan is joining the Wyatt family. Like I called many, many moons ago, mind you. A lot of questions. Oh my God, so many questions. Now, is Bryan going to turn heel and WWE going to kill any momentum that the crowd have given him? Is Bryan going to take out the Wyatt family from within? Is this all a conspiracy? There's so many things you have to ask yourself. Is this going to be how Bryan wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship because of Bray Wyatt? Because I know a lot of internet rumors over the weekend were that we're going to get John Cena and Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. So, are we going to get this? This is how it's going to happen? I mean, there's so many questions. Like, you have Cena and Orton, and what you have at this point is that match set in stone. And you have the Royal Rumble, which everyone wants Daniel Bryan to win, and of course some people are calling Batista to win, and he'll face Randy Orton at WrestleMania. I'm not sure at this point. What I would do personally is have the Wyatt family get involved in Orton and Cena, and somehow have the Wyatt family cost Randy Orton, of all people, the championship. So, Orton loses. Cena is the undisputed WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble with the help of the Wyatt family. And at WrestleMania, you get John Cena and Daniel Bryan for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And obviously, you put Daniel Bryan over. But you can't do that. You cannot do that. And I don't see Cena and Hogan against the Wyatt family and Daniel Bryan either. There's so many different things you could do. This could all be a ruse. This could all be Bryan trying to play games back so he can get the upper hand. There's so many things you can do with this storyline. And one thing it's doing right now, and Twitter is blown up like crazy right now, it's getting people talking. And that's what you have to do in order to stay relevant in 2014. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here, to be totally honest. So the show overall, Punk and Rollins, a good opener, not a great opener. If they would have slowed down a little bit, it would have been fine. Biggie Langston and Fandango was actually really good. Axel and Ziggler, I would have rather put it on SmackDown. Truth and Brodus Clay, I like the finish, but that's about it. Sandow should have faced someone else. I like Bryan running the gauntlet, and Bryan ended up being the one to succumb to Bray Wyatt. And that's what we've been pushing, and that's what we finally got to. And that's the right direction to go. So is Daniel Bryan following the buzzards, or is Daniel Bryan trying to destroy the group from within? It was a line that Bryan said, I'm paraphrasing of course, but basically saying that the machine would never let him win. So Bryan is going to unleash, I'll say it, Daniel Bryan's going to unleash the dragon on the machine and take down the corporate empire thanks to Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper. So in essence, if you really think about it from that perspective, the machine would be what's best for business. What's best for business can go face or heel depending on how you look at it. So what if the devil made me do it, is what Bray Wyatt said all along. What if the devil is Vince McMahon himself? And Vince McMahon has to inject a little poison, like he did with the NWO, to get his company back and end this what's best for business garbage finally once and for all. Maybe the Wyatt family and Daniel Bryan are going to be the ones that even may look like they're heels, but in the end, they may just be the heroes of the company. Words to think about. and the final time for 2013. As always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, and I know a lot of people of you have, because we are almost at 300 subscribers here on Pop and almost at 22,000 views in a little bit over a year, folks. Thank you all out there for making that possible. And I also want to say that next year, 2014, is going to be a huge year for Pop. Some new segments. Molly will finally be joining the channel on a regular basis or semi-regular basis, depending on how schedules work. And Ben and Will be making their returns as well, and myself and AJ will be bringing you guys all sorts of awesome movie content throughout the next 3 months, given the fact that it is the awards season now. So, awards content will be coming. We're talking about the SAGs, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the Golden Globes. So, all those videos will be coming out in the next couple of days. I'm going to try to get NXT and SmackDown and Impact out before Thursday, if I'm able to. I can't promise anything, but I'm going to try. And I don't work Thursday, so I'm going to be going to B-Dubs Thursday night, and when I make my return to B-Dubs, I may possibly be able to get something done. Who knows? We'll find out sooner rather than later. This Friday, it looks like AJ's movie reviews are going to be, as of this moment, a video I'm not looking forward to. Lone Survivor and the new god-awful PA marked ones. How appropriate. There's Mark in the title. So, in the meantime, like I said before, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment, do subscribe, and help spread the word about Pop. If you want to, you're more than welcome to, and we would appreciate if you do, like us on Facebook, Sir Owen Disney Pop. You can follow me on Twitter, at Sir Owen Disney. You can be my friend on Facebook, it's Owen Disney, or you can send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions to sirowendisney@gmail.com. In the meantime, thank you guys and girls up there for watching. We'll talk wrestling again on NXT and SmackDown in the next few days, and Impact in the next couple of days as well. And, oh, by the way, starting this coming week, the first 2 weeks of January, you're going to see Sir Owen Disney at Impact, because I was there in attendance for the December 5th tapings at Universal Orlando Soundstage 19. So, yeah, that was really enjoyable. An awesome series of shows, and check those out. Very easy to spot. I'm going to be on hard cam, wearing a Mr. Anderson shirt. I'm at the very back of the auditorium, right in the middle. It's me and Joe hanging out. So, thank you guys and girls up there for watching. Thank you, wrestling fans, for continuing to support Pop throughout this year. Wrestling videos will be in abundance in 2014, mark my words. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, for the final time in 2013, that's all I got to say about that.